Hello friends, welcome to Programming in Your Hands. This video is about inheritance in C++. Yes, what is inheritance? It is actually the capability of one class to inherit the properties from another class. For example, you can take this as your example, your father. He might have characters like angry, love. There is your mother who is so caring and sincere. That is her character. And now you have both their characters together. That is love, as well as from your mother, you have your care. So you inherit the properties of your father as well as your mother. And this you call it as inheritance. So there will be a base class. In other way, you call it as a superclass. And one you call it as a derived class. So in this example, if you take father and mother acts as base classes and you act as the derived class. So for example, you can see this lion and its cub. The lion says I am a base class. Now the son says I am the derived class. It is so similar as that of. Now if you take another class, animal, this acts as the base class, but you have so many derived classes. You have dog, cat, cow. All these are different classes, subclasses or derived classes. You have the base class which is named as the animal class. So remember, base class you call it as a superclass, derived class you call it as a subclass. Okay. Now, there are different types of inheritance in C++. One you call it as single inheritance. You have multiple inheritance, you have multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance and hybrid inheritance. How do I categorize them? They are categorized based on the number of base classes and the derived classes. Okay. So now if you take a single inheritance, you will have one base class and one derived class. Yes. Next you have multiple inheritance where you have many base classes. Remember multiple many. So you have many base classes and a derived class. Suppose you take multi-level inheritance. There are levels of inheritance. You have a base class, a derived class 1 which is derived from this base class, derived class 2 which is derived from this derived class 1. So this is level, multi-level inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance is an opposite of multiple inheritance. In hierarchical inheritance, you have one base class but you have many derived classes. And hybrid is the combination of your single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. So hybrid is a combination of all. So remember, multiple has many base classes. Hierarchical is opposite of that. Okay. So these are the various types of inheritance. Okay. Now, for an example, how to write a program. If you take, this is a single inheritance. You have a base class and one derived class. You have the base class named A and the derived class named B. So here if you take animal, animal is the base class and dog is the derived class. Okay. So we'll see a simple example. Now you see, always you know that the compiler comes to the int main. Okay. Before that, can you guess what sort of inheritance is this? Yes, you have one class named account. That class gets over here. You have another class named programmer, but it is derived from the class account. So this is a derived class. So there will be a colon here. So you can access the public data of your account class, which means this is your programmer is a derived class, account is the base class. Okay. So now always in inheritance there is a concept we say abstract base class, which means there is no object created for the base class. Okay. So now for the derived class I am creating an object P1. Once the object is created, we know that it automatically calls a constructor. But there is no constructor in this program. So it automatically switches over to the next line. You have see out salary. Now how do I access it with this object? P1 dot salary. So now 6000 will be displayed. How do I access this bonus? Yes, P1 dot bonus. So I can access the members of the different classes. In here, instead of public, you can also use an access specifier named protected. So this is how you normally have the derived class. So this is the syntax of a base class. You open it and then close it. Then you have your derived class. You can access it with a colon. You will open it and close it. Now, we'll see how a derived class constructor is going to work. Always, the compiler comes to the main program. But before that, can you tell me what sort of inheritance is this? Yes, you have class A, class B, public A, which is a single inheritance. So class B is derived from A. So this is a single inheritance. Suppose, can you tell me what sort of inheritance is this? You have class A, open close. You have class B, which is derived from A. Class C, again it is derived from A. So what sort of inheritance is this? Yes, it is a hierarchical inheritance. Suppose I want the same to be a multi-level inheritance. What do I do now? Yes, I'll be just writing a B over here so that it becomes a multi-level inheritance. If I write A over here, it becomes a hierarchical inheritance. Yes, okay. So now we'll see an example of this. Fine. It always comes to the main program. This is an abstract base class, which means there is no object created for the base class. So B is my derived class. I am creating an object which is named obj. Once the object is created, this automatically searches for a constructor. Yes. So it goes directly to the derived class constructor. But it sees that it has been derived from A. So now where does it switch? Yes, it automatically switches to the class A constructor. So now what is your output? Yes, constructor of A class will be my output. Then it sees the closing bracket. Then it comes to this particular line. Now this derived class constructor will be executed. So now your output will be constructor of B class. Hope you would have understood the derived class constructors. Okay, we'll see another example. This is a very simple program. The program looks difficult, but it is so simple. So now, always the compiler comes to the main program. Before that, can you guess what sort of inheritance is this? You have class employee, you have get data, put data, class engineer, which is derived from employee, class manager derived from employee. So you have three classes. One base class, two derived classes. The two derived classes are derived from the single base class, which means it is a hierarchical inheritance. Okay, and you can find something different over here, where in every class you have the same function name: get data, put data, get data, put data, get data, put data. So this you call it as overriding member function. What do I mean by overriding member function? Yes, you will have the same function name existing in all the classes. You have three different classes. So in all the three different classes, you have the same function name. So it is called as a overriding member function. Okay, so now it comes to the main program. It is an abstract base class, which means no object is created for the base class. So you are creating only for the derived classes. So EL is my object, ML is my object for manager. So now engineer EL, once it creates this object, it searches for a constructor. You don't have a constructor. So now it switches to the next line, manager ML. Now it comes to the next line, cout, enter manager details. Okay. So now ML dot get data. It will automatically call my get data of the manager. So now, where is my managers get data? Yes, it goes automatically to here. Now it sees employee get data. You can see a scope resolution operator here. Employee get data, which means I'm telling it to go to employees get data. Okay, so now it automatically goes to employees get data. So now what will be your output? Enter the employee name. It will ask for the employee name. I'm going to type the employee name. Enter the employee ID. I'm going to type the employee ID. It sees the closing bracket. Once it sees the closing bracket, where does it go? Yes, it automatically goes to the next line. Then it prints enter the department and I'll type the department. Now it sees the closing bracket. It comes to the next line of my main program. Okay, now enter engineer details. Now I'm calling el.getData. What is el? Yes, el is an object created for engineer. So now it automatically goes to engineers get data. Now it comes inside and it sees again employee get data. Where does it go? Yes, it automatically goes to employees get data. Now it will ask for the employee name. I'm typing the employee name. Employee ID. I'm typing the employee ID. It sees the closing bracket and comes to the next line. Now it is asking for the department. So I'll be typing the department. Now it sees the closing bracket comes to the next line. So now it jumps over here and now it automatically comes to see out manager ml.putData. So now managers put data. Now what am I saying? I'm telling it to go to employees put data. So this is employee. So it automatically goes to employees put data first. So the employee ID and employee name will be displayed. After which this department will be displayed. So now it comes to the next line. Again it sees el.putData. Now it goes to el's put data. I'm telling it to move to employees put data. It goes to employees put data. These both will be displayed and then after it comes to the department and department will be displayed. Now it sees the closing bracket and it comes out of the program. So hope you would have understood how it switches over the functions. Okay. Now coming to the next program. This is very important. And now same as your derived class constructors. Yes, it automatically comes to int main. It is an abstract base class, which means no object is created for the base class. You can see derived object. So once it sees this, where does it go? Yes, it goes to the derived class, but it sees that it has been derived from base. So it automatically switches to base constructor. Now what will be my output? Yes, 1. After seeing the closing bracket, it directly comes to the derived class constructor and then it displays 3. And it sees the closing bracket. Now we don't have any other function. Directly it sees return 0. Now the destructor will be executed. Whichever has been lastly constructed will be destructed first. So now it automatically switches to the derived class. So 4 will be displayed, after which 2 will be displayed. Hope you would have understood the concept of inheritance, derived class constructors, types of inheritance. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.